Hey guys, it is still December 14th, and I just had to use the bathroom really, really bad, but I'm back to finish this video. I just wanted to kind of read some of these. They're random, random documents from the Army, random articles about electronic weapons and testing and directed energy weapons. This one is DEWS, definition from the Center of Army Lessons Learned, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Non-lethal weapon, which includes 1. A neuroelectromagnetic device which uses microwave transmission of sound into the skull of persons or animals by way of pulse-modulated microwave radiation. And number 2, a silent sound device which can transmit sound into the skull of persons or animals. Note, the sound modulation may be voice or audio subliminal messages. One application of V2K is use as an electronic scarecrow to frighten birds in the vicinity of airports. The other video is like 31 minutes. So I might shave off a minute on there. I might just put it in. But yeah, I mean, and now, like, I just want to talk about my voice to skull. It's to a point where they've recycled so many real-time things that they're saying, and they also do, speak in real time. And I think that this software, the Chatterbox software, works along with these people, and when they want to say something in real time, it responds to that. It all works together. I just want to say, like last night, my bunker is working good. It is protecting me somewhat, not 100%. The V2K is very, very hard to get rid of, and when I do, the Dave CD does get rid of it in general. It does buffer it down in general a lot, but when Dave CD is on, there is a noise induction. There is a noise induction kind of thing going on there where the V2K actually gets louder, and so they try and really step up the Chatterbox when I listen to Dave CD. And I mean, it's just been so long. I mean, it's been 7 years, it's about 7 or 8 years of constant V2K, of people always having conversations. I don't, a lot of people get the V2K where, it's like they just say a couple of things and it's intermittent. But with mine, they really try to make that one of the psychic driving horrible weapons, psychological weapons to be used on me. And I've told y'all recently where, it's been going on so long, the V2K, and it's like I can buffer it down. I can never really get it to disappear. But it becomes, since it's external audio voices that sound like they're coming from a certain direction in my condo, or when I'm outside it sounds like it's coming from a certain direction. It's become so psychologically painful that it crosses into a different range. I mean, it crosses into a different range between psychological and physical pain, where it actually almost becomes a physical, like physically damaging to my brain, because my brain is stunted. Like, my brain can't think its own thoughts, and they're constantly responding to inner voice things that I say with V2K, or any kind of imagery that comes across my visual cortex. They're responding to that, saying, "Oh, he's thinking about this now. Oh, he's thinking about this now. Oh, okay." But so just so terrifying that it would be used in this way, and that people of this, with no morals would have this out in the community, and that'd be mass disseminated like this. And we know, because voice to skull, remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulation have been being used for many, many years, since at least like 1970 or before. So that's why it's able to be handed out in such a mass dissemination way. They're able to manufacture things that aren't as expensive as when it first came out, and actually give it to these, contractors, who work on shifts, and then try and automate things through software now. So let's read this. LRAD. According to Defense Update, the LRAD long-range acoustical device can produce a 150 decibel acoustic beam from 300 meters away. The human threshold for pain is between 120 to 140 decibels. So 150 decibel would hurt a human being a lot. In 2003 New York Times article, Mr. Norris demonstrates his technology to the reporter. At 1% of the capacity, the reporter's eyes hurt, and hours later still experienced a headache. This technology can inflict permanent damage and death despite its classification as a non-lethal weapon. While the LRAD may be seen as a way to save lives in times of disaster or to avoid civilian casualties, the LRAD and similar directed acoustics may be cause for concern to those who exercise their right to assemble and conduct peaceful demonstrations and protests. The New York City Police used the LRAD at the Republican National Convention, and it was also used in Miami at the WTO free trade protests. More remote controlling humans. This was in the American Psychologist, Journal of the American Psychological Association, Volume 30, March 1975, Number 3. Given a thermodynamic interpretation, it would follow that information can be encoded in the energy and communicated to the listener. Communication has in fact been demonstrated. Sharp and Grove found that appropriate modulation of microwave energy can result in wireless and receiverless communication of speech. The capability of communicating directly with a human being by receiverless radio has obvious potentialities both within and without the clinic. So let's go down to NSA's Echelon. Signals intelligence refers to the ability to eavesdrop on cell phones, landlines, radios, and email. Echelon was the name of the program that was exposed in Australia when it was charged with being used for political purposes. Echelon's surveillance power lies in its ability to tap all international and some domestic communications circuits and sift out messages which sound interesting. Computers automatically analyze every telex message or data signal and can also identify calls to, say, a target telephone number in London, no matter from which country they originate, according to the BBC. Every international telephone call, fax, email, or radio transmission can be listened to by powerful computers capable of voice recognition. They home in on a long list of keywords or patterns or messages. Okay, so this is Echelon about surveillance of cell phones, landlines, radios, and email. I want to go... I guess this does have to do with DHS, so I'll read this one. I'll maybe read two more, and I may continue this at another time, but I'm just trying to get some information out there that's documented. Total information awareness. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, will be given access to all state and local databases, complete access to all banking and stock transactions, and all private databases on demand, medical records. They will monitor and control all communications at state and local levels, as well as build an intranet for corporations. Local police agencies that receive federal subsidies, all of them, will in effect become intelligence gathering units for the federal government. Under the TIA program created by DARPA, the government is now monitoring almost all activity of Americans, including bank deposits, shopping, web surfing, academic grades, divorce records, spending, phone calls, utility usage, travel, virtually everything. It plans to track everything you do, employing face recognition software that can stop you from making a withdrawal at a bank or from boarding a plane. The government has placed all of its faith in incredible new technologies such as PROMIS, PROMIS software, and exotic weaponry systems that are just beginning to be unveiled. TIA plans to recognize you by your voice, by your unique body odor. It even plans to use non-invasive neuroelectric sensors to read your mind. Washington Times, August 17, 2002. Disinformation and misdirection techniques of agents. Information warfare works as an internet strategy according to War College documents by having people chase the white rabbit around the endless maze of disinformation so that they can't even tell what is true anymore. The only people who research these topics are the thousands of victims. Former NSA employee sues NSA. We'll go down. Well, no, John St. Clair, Arqui versus National Security Agency, Fort George G. Meade, MD, USA, civil action. NSA Signals Intelligence uses EMF brain stimulation for remote neural monitoring and electronic brain links. So that's why he sued them for using EMF brain stimulation for remote neural monitoring and electronic brain link. Let's see. I'll read this one because Man on the Moon. Senator and former astronaut John Glenn sought to pass legislation in Congress that would make the use of human guinea pigs less likely. I don't think he was successful in that. And then I think we'll go through this until I get to about 15 minutes. Russian and American Partnership for Dues. The 3/1/93 issue of Time magazine and January 11 through 17, 1993 issue of Defense News both reported on U.S. and Russian collaborations involving directed energy and mind control technologies which could be used for various purposes such as to suppress riots or to control dissidents. The 8/22/94 Newsweek magazine reported on a secret meeting between experts from the FBI's Counterterrorism Center and Dr. Smirnov, whose work has included remote electroencephalography, and neural mapping of the human brain. So that was in 1994 Newsweek magazine, reported on a secret meeting between Dr. Smirnov, who has a lot of work, and we probably need to do a video on him. Whose work was included remote electroencephalography and neural mapping of the human brain. Militarizing the police. The 3/23/94 Washington Post reported, the Pentagon and Justice Department have agreed to share military technology, including directed energy weapons, with civilian law enforcement agencies for use on Americans' urban battlefields. So here's a little slice of proof that that police do know about these directed energy weapons, and they will put somebody like me or somebody else reporting it into a mental institution if we claim to be being hit by them. But the Pentagon and Justice Department have agreed to share military technology, including directed energy weapons, with civilian law enforcement agencies for use on Americans' urban battlefields. That was from, March 23rd, 1994 Washington Post. Is that March, January, February, March? Yeah, okay, March 1994. Okay, and we'll finish off with this. And yet more remote controlling humans. In the 1970s, in the Law Review, Crime and Justice, an article entitled The Use of Electronics in the Observation and Control of Human Behavior and Its Possible Use in Rehabilitation and Control stated, in the very near future, computer technology will make possible alternatives to imprisonment. The development of systems for telemetering information from sensors implanted in or on your body will soon make it possible the observation and control of human behavior without actual physical contact. It will be possible to maintain 24-hour surveillance over a subject and to intervene electronically or physically to influence and control selected behavior. It will thus be possible to exercise control over human behavior and from a distance without contact. And that is the Law Review, Crime and Justice. Law Review article, Crime and Justice. Alright guys, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to put this information out. This is some more random information, just things from all over about gang stalking and the experimentation that we're going through and who's using these directed energy weapons. So I might just continue onward through this at a certain time. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope you guys are doing as comfortable as possible. We're coming up towards the holidays, and God is behind us. So I'll see you guys on the next one.